To date, the Game Theorist YouTube channel has made 3 dedicated Team Fortress 2 videos, 2 of which being very controversial, and one of those, MatPat very recently called the video he regretted making the most. On May 11th, 2013, the first of these videos is uploaded, set to answer the question of whether Pyro was male or female. Since the game's inception, Pyro's gender has been one of its leading mysteries, with floral handbags and hidden Venus symbols in Meet the Pyro pointing to them being a female, while being voice acted by a man and being a man in concept art generally pointed to them being a male. And it doesn't help that decades of documentation and official material uses both male and female pronouns interchangeably. MatPat sought to rectify this by using science and biometric data. One data point he looked at was the ratio of shoulder width to overall height, which according to MatPat, Pyro's ratio matched that of an average male exactly. Now, the numbers MatPat cited as averages seem to differ from what I can find. A 1960 survey of over 3,000 men done by the CDC put the average at just under 16 inches, and a 2009 study of 100 men in Sweden also posted similar findings. But even readjusting the numbers, the ratios still match up close enough to that of an average male, with a shoulder width of 90 pixels and a height of 400 pixels, giving us a ratio of 0.225. But the focus of the video and what people found most controversial was his use of finger lengths, citing the digit ratio theory, the idea that greater prenatal exposure to testosterone produces a greater height difference between your index and ring finger. Well, looks like I'm a woman. MatPat made the claim that the Pyro's lower 2D to 4D ratio is indicative of that of a heterosexual female or a homosexual male. While some studies have found that homosexual males tend to have lower ratios than heterosexuals, other studies, as well as popular figures in the scientific community like Andrew Huberman, have said the opposite. And this is the issue with MatPat's use of the digit ratio theory. It's just too contentious of an idea to draw a conclusion out of it. And even if the data was 100% conclusive that gay males do have lower ratios, there is just one problem. The Pyro has gloves on. Many pairs of gloves out there have matching index and ring finger lengths, even other TF2 gloves have them matching. MatPat concluded that those two measurements, along with Pyro's clear-cut case of schizophrenia, make him likely to be a gay male. Many studies, like this 2011 University of Manitoba one, do find that gay males show about twice the rate of schizophrenia. But fast forward 7 years to February of 2021, and this video sparked a small Twitter controversy, with a user making a thread of quote, shitty things that MatPat has done, going on to talk about how he used insensitive language when describing the ambiguity of Pyro's gender, as well as taking issue with MatPat's claim that gay males show increased rates of schizophrenia, but making no effort to cite evidence that would prove otherwise. But this drama was nothing compared to MatPat's other TF2 video. On August 18th, 2016, MatPat uploaded his take on the wildly popular TF2 vs Overwatch debate. To date, it is his most disliked video he has ever uploaded. The most common criticism is best summed up by Muzelk's comment. I am now 100% convinced that neither of these guys have played TF2 for more than 5 minutes. Even 12-year-old me didn't seem to like it very much, but one thing 12-year-old me would love is if you subscribe to my YouTube channel. And now that you're subscribed, let's see what made their arguments so bad. Todd opens up by stating that TF2 is better because it is free, and then 5 seconds later says that on top of being free, it doesn't have microtransactions unlike Overwatch. While he later course corrected and stated TF2 microtransactions weren't all loot boxes, this ignores the fact that TF2 still technically charges money for unlockable weapons, while all Overwatch microtransactions were purely cosmetic at the time. Okay, next up.
Oh wow! Updates? Oh, wait a minute. Team Fortress 2 updates multiple times a year with free content on top of the game.
MatPat then later commented on how Overwatch is better because it didn't have accessory accolades like dominations and kill death ratios, arguing that more support-oriented characters never get the same high of racking up a bunch of points or dominations. But if you have played in any lobby against an original gunboat soldier main with his girlfriend glued to him, you know this just isn't true. MatPat cited Jeff Kaplan's dismay towards these kinds of in-game performance metrics, worried that they might detract from team play. The problem with using this to argue that Overwatch is better is that the games are just too different. TF2 is a more casually oriented 12v12 game where weak team play isn't an issue, while Overwatch was a 6v6 game designed with competitive in mind, making team play of utmost importance. This point also ignored the fact that Overwatch used to have the medal system, which caused the exact same kind of toxicity as scoreboards do. Todd would then bring up community servers, talking about how you could find your desired server, stick around until you've had your fill of the map being played, and then just hop off and find another. Nearly 2 months after the Meet Your Match update was released and ruined this entire flow. Both of them would then try to argue for quantity over quality, while saying that they value quality. Todd brought up TF2 having over 100 playable maps at the time like it was a good thing. I really wish we had less these days. While MatPat brought up how Overwatch launched with over twice the playable characters as TF2, while conveniently ignoring loadout customization. Diversity was also briefly brought up, with the TF2 cast mostly being white men being portrayed as a disadvantage, but the game is set and was strictly designed to adhere to the themes of 1960s America. That's just the way it is. Though the community's biggest gripe is what was said about rocket jumping. MatPat said that Overwatch characters have more intuitive mobility, with things like wall climbing, teleportation, and grappling hooks, subsequently saying, quote, "There is no need for convoluted rocket jumping in Overwatch," but then 5 minutes later, contradicts himself and says that Overwatch having a higher skill ceiling gives it an advantage over TF2. A couple other blatant but minor errors include Todd saying that Scout can equip the quote, Dovahkiin helmet, saying TF2 has Team Deathmatch, and MatPat citing a 3% drop in TF2's player base as evidence that Overwatch siphoned players from TF2. Outside of YouTube, numerous posts were made on both the TF2 and Overwatch subreddits heavily criticizing the videos. It even got to the point where r/TF2 banned any discussion about it. Even to this day, a lot of the TF2 community holds some degree of disdain towards MatPat, as shown in the replies of this 2022 post, suggesting that MatPat should make another TF2 video to hopefully give the game a jab of life. Overall, this video was just one poorly researched disaster. It was clear that neither MatPat nor Todd knew anything about TF2. It was almost like they didn't even write the video.
Which theory do you regret the most?
Most of them are good. Even the bad ones, quote-unquote bad ones, were valuable learning tools. So, like, very early on, there was a persona theory, and there was a persona theory, and then there was, like, an episode of this show, Deadlock, that we did, which was not a proper game theory, and we did one, TF2 versus Overwatch. Those were two that I basically entirely outsourced to some of the writers that we worked with, or some of the third-party freelance writers, where I'm like, hey, I know a little bit about Overwatch and TF2, but I don't know a whole lot about, you know, those franchises to the level that I would want to for these episodes. Sure. And people assured me up, down, left, right, and sideways that they're like, oh, we got it. And I'm like, okay, because at the end of the day, like, I'm the one on the line.
It reflects on you.
It reflects, like, I'm the voice, and those were both super poorly received by the audience, just completely flat out, and lived on for many, many years to haunt me, right?
Given that this podcast was only released 3 months ago, a lot of people, including myself, had no idea of the true story behind the video. So to any aspiring content creators out there, I would say just to take this as a lesson to try it yourself. Editing, thumbnails, and script writing may be intimidating at first, but it's always worth it to do it yourself and learn the skills. And if you want to take some inspiration, subscribe and check out my other videos.